Crypto, the future of money, the revolution against banks, and the get-rich-quick scheme your cousin keeps DMing you about while still working the closing shift at Applebee's. If crypto were a Tinder date, it would be the guy who calls himself an entrepreneur, but is actually just selling solar panels door to door in your neighborhood. So yes, if you can't already tell, I hate crypto. And by the end of this video, I am confident I can convince you that the entire cryptocurrency industry is the single biggest scam of our generation. Not the most controversial, not the most overhyped, the single biggest scam. Let's start at the beginning. Chapter 1. The Promise. The origins of cryptocurrency trace back to 1983, when computer scientist David Chaum introduced the idea of eCash, an anonymous electronic money system decades ahead of its time. For the next 2 decades, crypto lurked in the shadows like a charity fundraiser waiting outside Whole Foods. Then 2009 happened. Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever that actually is, mined the first Bitcoin, and the nerds rejoiced. Suddenly, a decentralized, government-free, bank-hating digital utopia was born. It was supposed to be the currency for the people. Decentralized, free from government interference, a salvation from greedy banks. It was supposed to be the digital middle finger to the entire traditional financial system. At least, that was the promise. Fast forward 16 years, and the reality looks absolutely nothing like what people wished for. Let's start with the North Star of the entire industry, Bitcoin. It's been 16 years since launch, and Bitcoin still has no real-world, widespread utility. Sure, you can technically buy a luxury watch with it, or pay a freelancer in a country your bank doesn't trust. But for everyday life, groceries, rent, a coffee on a Tuesday morning, you still cannot meaningfully use Bitcoin. There are an estimated 350 million businesses worldwide. Of those, around 18,000 accept Bitcoin as payment. That's not a rounding error. That is, for all practical purposes, 0. And of the businesses that do accept it, most just run it through a payment processor that instantly converts it to dollars the second the transaction clears. As a currency, it's functionally useless. High volatility, high fees, and a staggering amount of fraud. Yes, Bitcoin can technically work as a currency, the same way you could technically mow your lawn with a pair of nail clippers. There is no widespread adoption. There is no real-world utility as a payment system. The actual use case for Bitcoin isn't decentralized currency. It's a speculative asset whose price is driven entirely by supply and demand, similar to gold. Except humans have assigned cultural and monetary value to gold for roughly 5,000 years. Bitcoin isn't even old enough to legally drink in the United States. Instead of revolutionizing how we access and transfer money, cryptocurrency became just another vehicle for speculation. So if it's just a speculative asset, surely it's at least a good investment, right? Wrong. Wrong. Bitcoin's annual volatility sits at around 60%. For context, the US stock market averages about 15% annual volatility. That makes crypto roughly 4 times more volatile than stocks, and stocks are already considered risky compared to bonds. And that's exactly why actual money managers, people legally required not to make dumb decisions with trillions of dollars, typically recommend putting only 1 to 2% of your net worth into crypto, if any. Why such a small number? Because the risk-adjusted returns are garbage. Warren Buffett, arguably the most successful investor alive, called Bitcoin rat poison squared. Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Chase, said, "Bitcoin does nothing. I call it the pet rock." And Peter Schiff summed it up best of all. When you peel the onion and get to what's really there, there's nothing there. Maybe there's a reason institutional investors, people who love money more than their own children, treat crypto like a gamble, not an investment. It's because that's exactly what it is. Chapter 2. The Graveyard. Yes, I know Bitcoin climbed from fractions of a cent to tens of thousands of dollars. That moment has sailed, and it sailed a long time ago. And for every Bitcoin, there are roughly 10,000 worthless meme coins riding on its coattails. If you think you're the genius who can pick the next winning coin before everyone else, congratulations, you're delusional, and you're basically sitting at a roulette table with extra Discord servers and worse odds. And I can show you the actual evidence, not just my opinion. CoinGecko, a major crypto data platform, has tracked more than 7 million coin listings since 2021. In a recent report, they announced that 3.7 million of those coins have stopped trading entirely, dead, gone. That means over half of every single cryptocurrency they've ever tracked didn't just lose value, they went all the way to zero. And here's the part that makes this worse than a failing stock. When a stock fails, you might at least get a legal claim on whatever assets remain in bankruptcy proceedings. When a crypto project fails, you get a JPEG logo, a Discord message that says, "We're pivoting to a new vision," and then complete radio silence. It is the only major asset class on Earth where you have roughly a coin flip chance of your entire investment disappearing overnight. Not because of some unforeseeable global market meltdown, because you got rug pulled by the people who created it. Chapter 3, the stable coin that wasn't. So how did the industry respond to all this chaos and instability? They invented stablecoins. Stablecoins are cryptocurrencies specifically designed to stay pegged to something stable, usually the US dollar. Think of them as crypto's version of a savings account. Which brings us to Terra and Luna. They were marketed as a revolutionary algorithmic stablecoin, whatever that's actually supposed to mean to a normal person. Here's how it worked. Terra, the stablecoin, was pegged to the dollar. Luna, its sister token, was designed to keep that peg perfectly stable through an automated algorithm. When Terra fell below $1, the system would mint more Luna to push the price back up. When Terra rose above $1, it would burn Luna to bring the price back down. Clever in theory, absolutely catastrophic in practice. In May 2022, Terra lost its dollar peg during a mass sell-off triggered by a handful of large coordinated withdrawals, and the entire system imploded within days. The stablecoin that had been marketed to retail investors as safe, reliable, and boring collapsed completely, wiping out $45 billion of investor money in a single week. Regulators later called it one of the largest single wealth destructions in modern financial history. Chapter 4. The exchange that was supposed to be safe. So if over half of all cryptocurrencies eventually go to zero, and stablecoins can implode in under a week, surely the exchanges where crypto is traded are at least safe and well-regulated? Wrong again. This is where FTX comes in. FTX wasn't just another crypto exchange, it was the exchange. The closest thing the crypto industry had to its own version of the New York Stock Exchange. Super Bowl advertisements, celebrity endorsements from A-list names, an entire NBA stadium named after them, BlackRock and Sequoia Capital pouring in billions of dollars in funding, and the trusted, smiling face behind all of it, CEO Sam Bankman-Fried. He was crypto's white knight. Fortune magazine literally called him the next Warren Buffett on their cover. Sequoia Capital, one of the most successful and respected venture capital firms in the history of Silicon Valley, published a now-deleted article titled, "Without any apparent irony, we're all in on Sam." So surely, given all of that, FTX had to be legitimate, right? Wrong. Have you genuinely been paying attention to anything in this video so far? Nothing in this industry is ever what it claims to be. It turned out FTX had been secretly funneling customer deposits, money that belonged to ordinary retail investors, into its sister hedge fund, Alameda Research. This is, in case it needs to be explicitly said, extremely illegal. It was so bad that FTX's own internal accounting team genuinely had no idea where billions of dollars of customer money had actually gone. In bankruptcy court, John Ray, the same restructuring expert who cleaned up Enron, said, "Never in my career have I seen such a complete failure of corporate controls." What FTX did is functionally the same as raising money from your friends and family to start a legitimate small business, and instead quietly loading up the DraftKings app and laying down the single nastiest parlay bet known to mankind. Chapter 5. The pattern underneath all of it. Meme coins, Terra, FTX. These are not isolated, unfortunate incidents. They're just the visible tip of a much, much larger iceberg. The crypto industry, taken as a whole, is a graveyard of hype, scams, and bankrupt dreams. And after everything, the collapses, the rug pulls, the countless ordinary people who have lost their life savings, crypto is still here, still thriving, still growing. And when you peel back every single layer, all you find underneath is greed, wearing a slightly different costume each cycle. That's exactly what continues to drive the cryptocurrency industry today. No widespread real-world utility, no intrinsic value, no earned trust. And somehow, despite all of that, it remains a flourishing, multi-trillion-dollar global industry. It's the same hype cycles over and over, the same pump-and-dump schemes, the same small group of insiders getting enormously wealthy while ordinary retail investors get systematically obliterated. And here's the genuinely ironic part, the part that should make you angrier than anything else in this video. Every single time something inevitably collapses, the community's reaction is identical, almost word for word. How could this possibly happen in an unregulated, completely anonymous industry built entirely on trust? As if that question doesn't answer itself. Now, maybe blockchain technology itself, as engineering, is genuinely transformative in some future application. But the current, actual, real-world application of blockchain and cryptocurrency, as it exists today in 2026, is one giant casino with better marketing and worse odds. So yes, I hate crypto. And it's not because I don't understand it. It's because I do. It's the same lies, the same greed, the same blind optimism, recycled over and over and over again, with a new logo every 18 months. It is not the future of finance. It's a digital mirage that disappears completely the exact moment you actually reach for it. So here's my actual question for you, and I mean this genuinely. If more than half of every cryptocurrency ever created has already gone to zero, what specifically makes you so confident that the one you're currently holding is the exception to that rule? Drop your honest answer in the comments below. I genuinely want to read the argument, even if I think you're wrong. And if you know someone who just texted you that they found the next Bitcoin, do them a favor and send them this video before they find out the hard way with their own money.